today we're going to be talking about the life staff and the best PvP build for it. But before we get into that, don't forget to leave a like, rating, and a comment down below. And if you really like the content, maybe consider subscribing or becoming a channel member. All right, so now that we got the intro out of the way, as you guys know who have seen the series before, we're going to go into the game. We're going to hit K. We're going to go to life staff. We're actually going to talk about the build and the skills and why I select those skills over other ones. All right, so the 3 skills that I picked for this build and I think are the best skills for life staff in PvP is Beacon, Sacred Ground, and Orb Protection. And the reason I select these 3 skills over something like Light's Embrace or Splash of Light is because in PvP, and especially the most important PvP stuff, which is OPR and Wars, a lot of the fights in those modes, they take place on points. Moon, Sun, Star in OPR. In Wars, A, B, and C point, even the Fort. And if you have these massive AoE skills like Sacred Ground, Beacon, and you can even make Orb Protection AoE, you heal a large clump of teammates, dropping, thousands of heals over the span of, 10 to 15 seconds, which is the duration of these 2 skills. And you're doing way more overall healing than something like a single target heal can do. Because don't get me wrong, Light's Embrace single target healing one person for 2,000-3,000 is great. But if you're healing 10 to 15 people every second for 300 to 400, you're doing way more than something like Light's Embrace could ever do, because it is a 50-50 in a 20v20. And that is the reason I chose these 3 specific skills for the build. So now that you understand why I selected these 3 skills and obviously the main perk, you're going to see in the gameplay what I mean by like congested points. You've played OPR, you've been in Wars, you know what I mean by like everyone's fighting on the point, you drop an AoE and you're going to see it in the gameplay. It just heals everyone for hundreds and hundreds, ticking constantly, healing 10 to 20 people. Let's talk a little bit about these, the side perks and what I had to do to build this tree out, because a lot of people, I've been, talking to a lot of main healers, because obviously I'm not a main healer. I've been, using healing and testing and doing all this stuff for this build video, and I've been getting a ton of input from a lot of like main healers. Why choosing Radiance Blessing is something that some have done and some haven't, right? And potentially going Ben Light instead of it, which is what I decided to go with, and some of these other side perks. Obviously, you need 11 points on the left side to get Divine Blessing. So that already eliminates 11 points. So you only have 8 on the right, because you have a total of 19. The thing is, Orb Protection, you need to get all 4 of them, because you want to be able to AoE heal. And the last one is what applies that AoE heal, Aegis. So you only really have 4 extra points on the right side. And I think having Protector's Strength, where if you have a buff, you heal 10% more, you usually always have a buff on as a healer. Some way, shape, or form, you have a buff on. So you are always healing for 10% more. So I think Protector's Strength's a must. And then Ben Light, after a dodge, you heal for 20% more effectiveness for 5 seconds. I think that that's also insanely impactful. So basically, after a ton of tinkering, I decided that Ben Light and Protector's Strength are more impactful side perks than increasing Beacon's duration by 5 seconds, especially if you pick up the side perk Revitalize, which I do pick up. When you hit with a light attack, reduce life staff ability cooldowns by 5%. You don't need the extra 5 seconds. You're going to be reducing the cooldown, and if you stagger your beacons and your sacred grounds a bit off from each other and then use your light attacks, you're going to be getting the cooldown on the other one way faster and be able to just cycle through your skills constantly. And you should always have an AoE heal up, and then you can thread in Orb of Protections in spots where you feel like you might not have enough time to drop another AoE, you know what I mean? Now that you understand why I decided to pick Ben Light and Protector's Strength and did not forego one of them to have Radiance Blessing, which I think is probably the biggest change in my build in comparison of other AoE healers. The other side perks that are on the left side are pretty self-explanatory. Absolve you want because you don't want your life staff to consume mana per auto. Heavy attacks now reduce debuffs when passing through an ally. I think that's really impactful, especially in a war where people are getting rended and they're getting slowed and they're getting weakened. Being able to Mending Touch and remove debuffs is great. And then obviously after Mending Touch, you pick up Blissful Touch because you want to be able to pass your autos through people and heal them as you're shooting it through a bunch of your teammates in an AoE area, you know, on a point, you know, you're hitting a bunch of people, healing a bunch of people. And then Revitalize, like I mentioned before, super important to pick up because you want that CDR on light attack. Then you pick up Desperate Speed because, again, CDR is really good and it'll allow you to loop your skills. Intensify is obviously a must when you hit a heavy attack, gain a stacking 10% bonus. Healing effectiveness for 10 seconds can stack up to three times, which means you can have 30% more bonus healing, you know, if you chain in some heavy attacks in between your light attacks for obviously the CDR. And then Sacred Protection, when holding a life staff, increase the amount of incoming healing to all friendlies in your group by 5%. It's just a good perk to pick up, and you obviously need to fill out 11 points on the left side, and I think that is more impactful than Enchanted Justice. All right, so that's pretty much the build, and you kind of understand the premise of the playstyle from the gameplay. You kind of just sit in the back, shoot through your teammates, heal them, you know, try to drop your AoE heals on choke points in OPR or in wars on top of the points, stuff like that. Pretty self-explanatory, the playstyle. And the playstyle is going to be really simple and really easy to understand because of, before I talk about attributes, I actually want to talk about, it's a tab, armor first. Full heavy void bent. Healers, please go full heavy void bent. You see it in the gameplay. You are almost unkillable. It takes like 3 or 4 axes jumping on top of you, AoE stunning you, hammer stunning you to kill you, because if you're one-on-one, you're not dying, right? If you have a musket on the other side of the map in OPR headshotting you, you're not getting 2-shot. You're not. You're still sitting there healing, and you'll out heal the damage because of the heavy void bent armor, or just heavy, period. Heavy, you know, crit resistance, invigorate, you know, the physical war gems and stuff like that. I just forgot the name of the gems, but basically you understand the onyxes. With that, you know, you understand that you go full heavy void bent. I can now go over to attributes. 200 con. If you are a healer, your split should be 300 focus, 200 con. Obviously, my splits are not perfect because I don't have the perfect gear, right? You know, I'm missing a couple of points here and there. But you want to sit at 200 con, which you can have with just void bent. You know, you get 150, and then you put a couple more points in, right? And then you put the rest into focus, you know, and you have 260 focus where you sit at, and 200 con, and then you eat focus food and go up to 300 for wars, you know, obviously, and that would be a perfect 500 point build. Please guys, heavy. Please use heavy as a healer. You become an unkillable healing, like, paladin. All right, so I'm done rambling about heavy armor on a healer. They understand, even with the nerf, they're still insanely powerful. All right, guys, so now that we're back in full screen, I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me like freaking 30-40 times to record this because I kept screwing up. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sorry I haven't been able to upload as much and stream as much, but now that my net is back, I'm going to be streaming all the time, and I'm going to try to upload more consistently. We've been thinking about server merging as a guild, so we're probably going to be doing that soon, and that'll invigorate our server, or us as a guild, on a new server, because we're not going to be on like this low pop 1 to 200, you know, max server OPR queues taking 3 hours. You know, hopefully if we go to something like Eden or whatever, we've been looking at a bunch of different servers. Whichever server we decide to go to, you know, I'll be able to get instant OPR queues, actually, you know, have more consistent high-level PvP wars and a bunch of other stuff. You know, it'll reinvigorate, you know, me playing the game and a bunch of other stuff. But with all that being said, I'm done rambling. I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't want this video to be too long. Peace out.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me.